Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. So I didn't know we'd get it so quickly, but Alex Meruelo has been making media rounds and local stations, radio, TV, just finished up a Q&A with Gary Bettman and the NHL. So this is the Spark Notes. I know it's a lot, and I got a lot more. I basically transcribed or paraphrased all three of those interviews so you don't have to go and watch hours long of Alex Meruelo saying the same sort of thing. So I'm going to be reading off notes, maybe a bit unprofessional, but I want everything just out there. So if you watch this video, you come out of it, you know everything. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my opinion right now. I know I just heard these interviews a couple hours ago, so they may not be so refined, but we'll just jump right into it. I don't think I'm going to go through each point. When I read all these notes, these points come from the notes. So we're just going to do it. If you want to skip over the video, you got everything pretty much what you got. But there are very important details, a lot, and a lot of things we had no idea about. The first 2 points are easy. They've been leaked for like 2 weeks. Arizona Coyotes sell the hockey operations only to Utah and Ryan Smith for $1.2 billion. Alex Meruelo gets $1 billion of that, and then the extra $200 million gets split amongst the NHL Board of Governors. Alex Meruelo bought the team. You know, people speculate $300 million, $400 million. Let's just ballpark it. He profits $500 million for this sale in terms of profit. The Arizona Coyotes are deemed inactive. This is unprecedented. This has never happened in the NHL before. It's not a sort of normal relocation or expansion. Arizona Coyotes, the brand, the logo, the hockey business side of it, so ticket sales, youth hockey foundations, what have you, still owned by Alex Meruelo and just deemed inactive. Also, the Tucson Roadrunners are still owned by Alex Meruelo, and we'll get into the Roadrunners at the very last because this is all about the Arizona Coyotes. So they remain inactive. Alex Meruelo has 5 years to reactivate the Arizona Coyotes. Why 5 years? He still plans to go through the auction, still plans to meet with city officials. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know already. And just needs to hit certain benchmarks to reactivate the franchise. Can he sell it? Can he make even more profit? That's all going to be answered. Trust me. Hopefully this isn't a long video. So we'll just get into it. This is from the radio station, local Arizona. He appeared. The first ever interview since the sale. This interview happened literally like 30 minutes after the sale was announced on Thursday. It's not going to be in chronological order. Just going to spitball everything. It has all the important good stuff. So, why wasn't Alex Meruelo at the game? He claims, I'm just going to keep saying he claims, not he was. He says he was working on the deal tirelessly even the night of the game, but he did have it on TV. And his words were he was gut-wrenched, and it was gut-wrenching to watch the game. And he loves the Arizona fans, and he was very appreciative of everyone showing out to the last game, and there was so much emotions around the game. So that's why he wasn't at the game, he claims, because he was working on the deal. NHL came March 6th, I have it here, to propose this whole deal with Alex Meruelo, and Alex Meruelo's response was no. He said that multiple times in interviews. So Bill Daly and Gary Bettman had to convince him, which is why it seems like he's getting away with $1 billion, some might say, but you know, it's a very complicated deal. The main sticking points as to why the NHL proposed this deal was that Mullet Arena was unfair to NHL players who play for Arizona and for NHL players who visit Arizona to play during road games. They mention how the average career life of an NHL player is 4 to 5 years. So there's potential that a player might only have their NHL career spent in Mullet Arena, and it's not the major league experience. It's not the NHL experience trademark to be filed soon. So it's just unfair across the board. And then Alex Meruelo came around to that, or just the deal was so lucrative that he took the deal. It had to be a lucrative deal to get this done from March 6th when Alex Meruelo said no to pretty much April 6th or 8th when all those leaks were happening. Again, you can take all this for falsehood. I'm just telling you what they said. Okay, so he still owns the team and literally says, I still own the team. And the radio station right before they started the interview said, what do we call you? And Alex Meruelo said, the owner of the Arizona Coyotes. He had no intention to sell ever in the 5 years of owning the Coyotes. He's claimed that he's been offered, I gotta mark these off so I know I said these things. He claims that he's been offered a lot of money in the past 5 years, more than this deal, he claims, and he said no to all of those. So that's what he said. He had no intention to sell even on March 6th. He says the reason why the Tempe vote went no is that the public didn't understand the tax abatements and tax deferrals, which, funnily enough, is still going to happen with this new arena auction, but it won't be up to a vote. He just needs city officials' help to establish and enact these tax abatements and deferrals. What does that mean? So the tax abatements and deferrals is city taxpayers, their taxes don't rise. They only pay taxes when you enter the entertainment district. So it's a voluntary tax and you spend money in the district. There'll be a sales tax of, let's say, 2 to 5%. That's what they were doing with Tempe. I'm not defending this. I'm just telling you guys. That's what he was doing with Tempe. And the public just got missed messages, his idea. And for the new auction, for the new arena in North Phoenix, he still has to go through that process to get that sort of tax deferral and abatement. So Phoenix taxpayers, their taxes won't go up. It's voluntary. You enter the district and then you'll pay the taxes. So on that note, he needs city officials' help to build an arena. He needs to get this so-called theme district tax enacted for him to go through with the land purchase. He says repeatedly he needs help from the city of Phoenix. He still hasn't met with them, but a meeting is scheduled to enact that theme park district tax enactment. He says, and I'll put up a picture, hopefully I remember to put up a picture. He was kicked out of Glendale when he declined the 20-year lease agreement. He says he wasn't kicked out when he wouldn't pay taxes, which he claims is untrue. And here's a text message from the city mayor of Glendale saying how they also agree with Alex. They didn't kick him out. This text message was from months ago. They didn't kick out Alex Meruelo due to unpaid taxes. It was about not signing the lease agreement. In the text, I believe it says 12 years, but Meruelo keeps saying 20 years. So either 12 or 20, doesn't really matter. That's why he was kicked out of Glendale, so he claims. So he needs city officials to help build an arena. I said that. The notion that he doesn't pay bills. There's speculation, whether true or not, that he doesn't pay hotel bills. Just like the Glendale thing, he didn't pay tax bills. He says it's impossible to be in business for 40 years and not pay bills. Even in the Q&A with the NHL and the league, he says the same thing. I wasn't aware of unpaid bills. I've been in business for 40 years. I wouldn't be in business if there was unpaid bills. Would you renounce the rights to Arizona if he can build the arena and go through with building the arena? No, he would go to a different plan and intends to use all 5 years he has for the Arizona Coyotes. So no matter, depending on how you look at it, either that's good or that's bad. Either he's holding the Arizona Coyotes hostage, I shouldn't laugh, or he's going to stick to his word and go through with all this. And then I'll have my opinions on that later. So the radio station also asked him, why do real estate, land, and the hockey team go hand in hand? Why can't you just focus on the team and build an arena? Why is it always real estate in bed with the hockey team? Alex Meruelo says it's more financially viable, but he's going to start with building the arena first and then everything else later. That's a pure businessman speak. Like, obviously it's more financially viable if you have all these other revenue streams, and obviously he's going to build the arena first because he has to. He's under like this whole agreement that he has to build the arena within 5 years. Are you financially feasible? The radio station asked them. I had finances already. It's not a problem. I just need the city's help. It's too big of a project without their help. I need permits and the aforementioned theme park district. What is the temperature check on meeting with City of Phoenix officials? He hasn't spoken to them yet, but he has scheduled a meeting. How would you keep Arizona alive for the next 5 years? He keeps all the hockey business operations, like I've said. He's still going to fund youth hockey, and he is in the process of moving the Roadrunners to Mullet Arena, or playing half the season currently in Tucson and half the season at Mullet Arena. The Tucson Roadrunners are in the playoffs. It starts April 27th or 26th, no, Wednesday, April 24th, next week. Sorry about that. And they'll play those games in Tucson still. So what do you say for fans who lost their favorite players? It's horrible. I apologize. Career of players matter, and that's why it was unfair. They can't play for Mullet for their whole careers. So he does say it was horrible, gut-wrenching. He apologizes. He mentioned apologizing once in a radio interview and once with the league official. So take that however you want to take that. What will you do differently? He says Glendale didn't work. I wasn't involved. But when they moved west to Glendale, the diehard fan base, the fan base who's willing to spend, didn't have the appetite to drive all the way to Glendale. It was a problem created when he bought the team and owned it. His hand was forced to leave when he didn't sign the 20-year lease, and he knows he has to build an arena in the right location for the Arizona Coyotes to survive, not only survive, but thrive as well. So they ask him, will you spend? When he gets the building built and everything goes smooth and he reactivates Arizona Coyotes and he's still the owner of an NHL team, will he finally spend? Will he spend over the cap floor? Will we maybe get to the cap ceiling? He says yes. It's easier with 18,000 people in the seats. That was his point blank answer. So again, take that as you will. He's still an observer on the Board of Governors. Also, I didn't mention that. He's still an observer on the NHL Board of Governors. He doesn't have a vote. He doesn't need approval again by Board of Governors. He is a current and existing owner. Just the team he owns is inactive. He just needs to reach those milestones to be reactivated to the Board of Governors. Then he goes on a local ABC station. He says there that he scheduled a meeting with Phoenix officials. He doesn't get this done without help from the city. He's been offered deals before. I've said that, and he could have sold before and left Arizona entirely. He can't sell. This is important, and I should mention this. He can't sell the team before the 5 years, so he has to do something. He can't just sit on the land because the state land will revoke the land. In order to win the auction, you need a plan and enact that plan. You can't just sit on the land. That's one. He has to build the arena before 5 years, follow all these benchmarks the NHL have set out. So he gets the arena built in year 5 or 4, and then people say he'll just turn around and sell it. He cannot sell the arena once it's built and he reactivates the NHL team. He can't again sell it for another 5 years. And in this whole process, he could only sell at a cap of 20% of the Arizona Coyotes. He can't sell a majority stake. So 20% is capped on what he can sell of the Arizona Coyotes. So this guy's in it. I mean, all the facts are here. He's in it. He can't sell it. He can't make more of a profit. Sure, the only way he can make a profit and sell the team is if he does nothing for the 5 years, can't get the arena built, and then I guess the NHL takes control after 5 years and sells it to someone else, but he doesn't get money, I would believe. That's my own interjection. or he builds the arena, builds everything. He has to wait 5 years after activation, and then he'll profit. So that's a 10-year long journey to get money. Then we go, I just want to add something here. From the last game of the season, Tyson Nash said something, and then on Twitter, I was following Paul Bissonnette. Tyson Nash, during the game or an intermission, Shane Doan came on the broadcast, and right before Shane Doan leaves, Tyson Nash says, I know there was trouble when you left, in reference to Shane Doan leaving the Coyotes last summer, just a couple weeks after the Tempe vote went no and going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then Biz Nasty as well. I saw that he's been keeping distance from the team, only showing up maybe once, maybe twice on broadcast, whereas previous years he was, coming back here and there on the broadcast for the Coyotes. So the NHL League presser. Gary Bettman says the support of Arizona has been unwavering for the past 30 years. He was willing to let the Coyotes go to mullet because he thought with the Tempe vote, it would be a slam dunk. And even if mullet went to year 3, and he says specifically year 4, but you can see a building being built physically, he said he would be okay with that, as there's something to look forward to, and you can use that as proof that they're moving forward. Without a building erected, without land even purchased, without the auction even started, and with this, he needs help from City of Phoenix officials for the theme park district. He says it would have been another 5 years at mullet in the worst case. Best case would be 3 years, and even then, he was a bit questionable on 3 more years at mullet. So that is what triggered this whole deal and proposal to Alex Meruelo. Here's a Q&A. Alex Meruelo first began saying it was the most painful decision of his life. He says sorry and takes full responsibility. Then we go to the Q&A. This should be much funner. Pretty sure I got everything already written there. Public opinion. Craig Morgan asked, how are you going to regain trust from the public? Alex Meruelo says, I'm fully committed to Arizona, the Coyotes, and hockey in the desert. I know it works here. It just needs to be in the right location. And he claims they would be a top 10 revenue team if this arena gets built in the location of North Phoenix. Bettman says, when reactivated, fans will look forward and not look back. I like that quote. I'm not saying I liked Gary Bettman's whole appearance and speak at the conference. The theme park district, again, it's a voluntary tax payback when you enter the district, just like Tempe. What are the benchmarks for him to reactivate? Win the auction, meet with the city, get the theme park district enacted, and start building the arena. Unpaid bills, I already talked about that. Where have you been? Why isn't he front-facing in the media the past 5 years? First he says, I don't like media. And then Bettman has to interject, defend him, and say, oh, he meant, I don't like the limelight of the media. Alex Meruelo says, I don't like media. Bettman defends him. I literally just said all that. Someone asked, do you have any regrets in the past 5 years of owning the Coyotes? He hasn't had time to think of that. When he bought the team, COVID immediately happened. Then Glendale offered me a 20-year lease, and they threatened to kick me out if I said no. I had to look for other options. I got kicked out. Then I had the Tempe vote to deal with, and then the land auction after the vote went no. Why didn't you spend on the vote? And I was waiting for this question to be asked, because I was under the impression, I've read it in articles that he only spent about hundreds of thousands of dollars, less than $500,000 on the voting campaign for yes. He claims he spent $7 million on the campaign. He says he gave everything he had for the campaign, and he told even the night before the vote he would win by a landslide. That's what he says. I'm not saying that's true, but he claims he spent $7 million on the campaign and not the $100,000 I believe I saw. Just want to mention something about Utah. The Utah games will be viewable in Arizona on Scripps Sports, whether you like that or don't. Can you bring in people? Can you bring in new ownership? Can you sell? No, he's capped at 20% and has to keep the team for 5 years after reactivation. Already said that. He says Alex Meruelo gave everything in terms of dollars to the hockey operations. That includes the scouting, the development staff, general managers. He did everything he could to follow the vision for this team, which is why the team is in a really great spot moving forward. He also, Bettman says, not Alex Meruelo, Bettman says he's been losing a ton of money at Mullet. And when, someone like Barry Bettman says that, you better believe it's a lot of money. And even then, if you believe Alex Meruelo said no on March 6th, he was losing a lot of money at Mullet. He still says no on March 6th, allegedly, according to all this. And that's that. The Roadrunners to Mullet, it's still up in the air. He has to go through all the meetings and get American Hockey League approval for all that.
Apologies for the sudden jump edit, but 2 updates since I recorded the video. A current Tempe council member is contesting the truth that Alex Meruelo said he spent $7 million on the Tempe Yes campaign. This council member has receipts. He has documents that say Alex Meruelo and the organization only spent $1.1 million on the campaign. So it's up to you, I guess, for who to believe. The council member, I'm sure, wouldn't lie. Maybe, perhaps, if you give benefit of the doubt to Alex Meruelo, he got confused or he spent the money somewhere and it wasn't all, sent to the city council. Who are you going to believe? It honestly doesn't really matter at this point. I agree the Tempe vote going no was the nail in the coffin for the current franchise. And honestly, just not going out to voters earlier than the no campaign is probably the result of the vote going no, because the no campaign went first and early. They got into the heads of the people who were voting and they targeted people who do vote, whereas the Coyotes maybe didn't target the right demographic. The no campaign characterized Alex Meruelo in a way that the Arizona Coyotes, they couldn't get that out of the minds of the voters. They didn't do a good job of quenching those, misinformation, if it even was. They just went through with, hey, it's a great building. It's going to revitalize the economy of Tempe. You don't have to pay anything. The Coyotes didn't go the route of just saying, hey, I'm a good guy. Maybe they couldn't even do that. But that's an update that Alex Meruelo says $7 million. Council member says $1.1 million. At the end of the day, the vote went no, and they probably should have went out to voters earlier than the no campaign. And another update, in order to reactivate the franchise, they need 18 months to do so. So they go to the NHL, we want to reactivate the franchise. You have to wait 18 months and then it's activated. And in order to send that notice for reactivation, the arena needs to be 50% built. So, in 2.5 years, 3 years, Alex Meruelo goes to Gary Bettman in the NHL. The arena is 50% built. Here's my reactivation notice. 18 months pass, and then the team gets an expansion. That's probably enough time for the league to balance out the number of teams in the league. Give the GMs across the league 18 months to, get ready for a new expansion draft. And we'll see, those are the last 2 benchmarks for reactivation. So to go through the benchmarks again, it's win the auction, it's get the theme park district from the city of Phoenix, it's to close the land deal after the auction, and then it's to build the arena up to 50%, then send the reactivation notice to the league, and then wait 18 months, finish the arena, and then they get the new expansion draft. So now we'll go to the end of the video.
So what do I think? I think, and Alex Meruelo said this himself, actions speak louder than words. I'm not going to wait for him and believe him in doing all these things. I'm not going to let him destroy me watching hockey. I'll still watch hockey, haven't made my decision yet, but obviously leaning to one decision that I'll announce later. I really hope this all goes through. I hope he's speaking in truth. I hope he wins the land auction June 27th. I hope he gets the theme park district by City of Phoenix officials. I hope they close the auction in those 30 days after the auction. and I hope they start building, and I hope there's a team within the next 5 years and Arizona Coyotes hockey is back, because I do agree. Like, it sucks for diehard fans. It sucks for fans who are emotionally invested into these sports teams. But mainstream fans, fans who aren't so diehard, like you guys watching or me, they'll forget it. They'll be like, okay, once it comes back, they'll forget they were gone for 3 to 5 years. And then Arizona Coyotes hockey is back in a great location, great facilities, a full building with 18,000 people in the building. They get the expansion draft. I hope it goes well, and then that's the best case scenario. Or he just has this team hostage for 5 years. He can't do it, and then NHL, could just sell the team to someone else, and then that starts another process of trying to find a place to build an arena for the Coyotes. So yeah, it's all terrible how it went down. I don't believe anything Alex Meruelo, I don't believe anything they're saying. It happened. There's no point in trying to hope it never happened. It happened. There's steps to get it back, and hopefully it gets back. In the meantime, I'll be still watching hockey and, not just detaching myself from the game just because of, one billionaire owner. I'm not going to let him, take the love of my game. Hockey still exists. There's playoffs. There's American Hockey League playoffs as well. Watch the Gunther and Doan in the playoffs. That's going to be fun. And so we all move forward and continue. If there's any other updates, I'll make more videos on that. So thank you everyone for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.